What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. If you're new, my name's Nick, and on this channel we talk about personal finance and investing with the goal of making things just as simple and as easy for everyone to understand and get ahead. In today's video, we're going to talk about car loans versus car leasing, the pros and cons to help you make the right decision for yourself. So let's do it. Okay, so quick summary on a car loan versus a car lease. Now, a car loan is pretty straightforward. You're essentially going to go to a lending provider, get a loan, and go and purchase a car. Now, that loan could be secured against the car. It could be an unsecured personal loan. It could also be your mortgage where you're using the equity to go and purchase this vehicle. But the idea is simple. You're basically borrowing money to go and buy a car, and then that car is yours. And as you pay down that debt over time, you slowly increase your equity in that particular asset, and then after a period of time, once you paid everything off, that car is literally yours and it is your asset to claim. So a car lease works a little bit differently, and it's basically like renting a house. You're going to use it for a set period of time, you're going to pay to use it while you have it, and then when you're done with it, the car goes back to the leasing company, and that's it. So a car lease is a deal between you, your employer, and the car leasing company. So what will happen is your employer will deduct the payment for the car out of your pre-tax salary. That will go straight to the car leasing company. That then reduces your taxable income and potentially puts you in a lower tax bracket and therefore gets you a tax benefit. Now, this is very generic. It really depends on everybody's personal circumstances. So it's best you check with your employer and get a quote from a leasing company to work out what the tax benefits could be for you. But essentially, your employer is going to pay them before you get paid. And then that way you're just making one payment for the time that you have the car for. Now, a car lease can generally go from 2 to 5 years, any time in between that. And throughout that time, you're literally just making the one payment throughout that whole time that you're borrowing that car. And then when it's done, the car goes back to the leasing company. You may have to pay a balloon payment, but that depends on how you structure your car lease. So a car loan, you borrow money, you go and purchase the car. A car lease, you rent the car for the time that you have it, and then the car goes back at the end. So let's talk about the pros and cons of a car loan versus a car lease. And we'll start with a car loan. The number one thing with a car loan is that the car is yours. Now, you might have a loan attached to it, but after some time when you start paying down that debt, you will over time increase your equity in that asset. And then after some time, you will own the car outright, and then you can claim that asset as yours. The other advantage of getting a car loan is that you own the car, so you can do whatever you like to that particular car. You can modify it, you can do anything you really want because it is your car at the end of the day, and no one is going to tell you what to do with that particular car. Yes, there might be a loan attached to it, but that is still your car and it is your asset. The other advantage of getting a car loan is that you can sell the car whenever you like. I mean, if you don't like the car anymore, you want to upgrade, you need the cash, you can literally just go and sell the car, pay down whatever debt you have, and then if you have any money left over at the end of the day, that money is then yours. But that is one of the biggest flexibilities with a car loan, is that the car is yours, you can sell it, you can modify it, you can do whatever you want with it. The other advantage of a car loan is that there is so many car loan products available out there, whether it's secured against the car, whether it's an unsecured personal loan, whether you're extracting the equity out of your home with a home equity line of credit. There are so many options out there, and options are great for consumers because that means you can then shop around to get the best deal for yourself. So the downsides of getting a car loan is that the payments are generally a lot higher. So if you have a secured loan against the car, you're actually paying for the whole entire car as opposed to just paying for using it. So that's one of the biggest downsides, is that the initial payments are a lot higher when you compare them with leasing. The other downside of getting a car loan is that you are responsible for any maintenance and repair bills that come up with that car. So unlike leasing, where you're just paying one fee that takes care of all of that, you need to pay your car loan, and then if something breaks down, you're going to have to pay that as well. So keep that in mind. It can be very expensive, especially when the car starts to age. The older it gets, the more likely it is that something's going to go wrong with it. So the last downside of getting a car loan is the depreciation. Now, the newer the car is, the more it will depreciate over the time that you own it. And I mean, who wants to own a depreciating asset? It's not really cool. So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of leasing a car. And we'll start with the advantages. And the number one thing here is that generally compared to a car loan, the lease payments are a lot cheaper, generally speaking, than when you compare them with a car loan of the same type. The other advantage here is that if you like to drive the latest car models, a lease is generally a better option. You want to lease a brand new car. You can keep it for 2 to 5 years if you like, and then the car goes back and then you can replace it with a newer model. So that's where leasing is more advantageous. If you like to churn your cars and get a new one every couple of years, that's where the lease is going to get you the most value. The other advantages of leasing is that the maintenance is taken care of. So your insurance, your maintenance, the petrol, all that sort of stuff is taken care of with one fee that comes out of your pre-tax salary. So you don't really have to worry about anything. It's just one fee, and then you use the car while you've got it, and then the car goes back when you're done. And then the last benefit of car leasing is, as I mentioned earlier, the tax benefits. So your car lease will come out of your pre-tax salary that then in theory should lower your taxable income and therefore put you in potentially a lower tax bracket, and therefore you pay less tax. However, that is not tax advice. Please go and get a quote from a leasing company. Speak to your employer to see if it is something that you can do. But for most people, it is a good advantage in reducing your taxable income. Okay, so some of the downsides of car leasing is that you do not own the asset and you cannot claim this as an asset of yours. So for example, if you were going to go apply for a mortgage and you had a car lease, you cannot claim that car as an asset of yours because you're really just renting the car, you're borrowing the car for a period of time, and that car is gonna go back. So it is definitely not yours. The other downside is if you like to modify your cars, you will not be able to do this with a car lease. The car has to go back in the exact same condition as what you received it in. So if you're into modifying your cars, car leasing is definitely not for you. And another major downside of car leasing is that you will have driving restrictions. So the payment that you make is going to depend on how many kilometers that you forecast yourself doing in a particular year. So if you do more than the kilometers that you said you would, you're going to have to pay excess kilometer charges, and they can potentially be very, very expensive. So you're kind of limited in the kilometers that you can do. But the other downside is if you don't use all of the kilometers that you said you would, you're going to be paying for something that you didn't use to the fullest extent as well. So the final summary on car loans versus car leases, if you're still not sure what the best outcome is for you, a car lease is going to be good for those that like to have a new car and you like to have a new car often. Whereas a car loan is going to be better for those that are happy to have a car and use it for 5 or 10 years, perhaps want to modify it as well. And you're happy keeping that car. It will be cheaper than the person that's getting the car lease all the time, because you've got to remember when you get a car lease, you're getting a brand new car. And if you're constantly getting one every couple of years, you're literally paying top dollar all the time for a brand new car. Whereas a car loan, you get the one car and you pay it off over time. You're not constantly replacing it time and time again. So a car lease is good for those that want a new car often. A car loan is good for you that want a used car or are happy with a used car and you want to keep it for an extended period of time. So that is car loans versus car leases. I hope you got some value out of that and now know what might be a better option for you. That's all we have time for today's video. I appreciate you watching and dropping by the channel. Until next week, 7 p.m. Thursday, I'll catch you soon.